a topic that might be a little sore for some people, but needs to be addressed following the Minnesota Vikings advancement to 10-2 is the play of Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold. Because he's gone through peaks and valleys this year, like most of the league, except for, the top echelon of quarterbacks. But I think at this point in the year, it is fair to say that Sam Darnold has been way better than advertised, way better than Kirk Cousins, and has the Minnesota Vikings in legitimate NFC North contention following the Vikings' victory over the Arizona Cardinals, which got them to 10-2. Sam Darnold versus the Arizona Cardinals. Slow in the first half. Sacked a lot. The rush was getting them. Took 5 sacks for 30 yards. Goes 21 for 31. 235 yards. 2 touchdowns. And most importantly, in that second half, when they needed touchdowns and field goals to come back from 19-6, 0 touchdowns. He was threading the needle to J.J. Jets, Addison, Hawkinson, found Aaron Jones for the game-winning touchdown, and Kirk Cousins goes 0 touchdowns, 4 picks against the Los Angeles Chargers in a game the Atlanta Falcons lost 17-13. Statistically, following this game, Football Reference has not updated the stats. Before the game, Kirk Cousins had 17 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. It says their record is 6-5. They're 6-6 now. They've played in 12 games. Now he has 17 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Sam Darnold, following the Vikings' victory over the Arizona Cardinals, entering this game, Sam Darnold had 21 touchdowns, 10 picks. And now has 23 touchdowns, 10 picks. Darnold has 6 more touchdowns than Kirk Cousins throwing and has several less interceptions and is way less money. Sure, we might be paying a little dead cap on Kirk Cousins' contract, but we're off that at the end of the year and a whole bunch of cap space frees up. Sam Darnold has been tons better than Kirk Cousins this season and has been way better than advertised. It's hard not to compare the quarterbacks because the Vikings could have gone 2 directions. Resign Kirk Cousins, give him the money he wants, bring in a rookie quarterback, try to figure that out. Or lay it all on the table. Hey, Kirk, if you want to come back, it's a 2-year deal. If not, we're going to go get Sam Darnold. Kirk didn't want that. He wanted the guaranteed dollars from Atlanta. Hey, good for him. Many, most, all would have probably done the same. But you cannot give the Minnesota Vikings enough credit for going the direction that they went. Because many franchises would have kept Kirk Cousins and said, you know what, we just need to keep him. He keeps us relevant. He keeps us competitive. He gives us a chance, especially after going 13-4 and then being red hot with him in his second season under Kevin O'Connell until he went down with that Achilles tear. So in a game where Cousins goes 0 for 4, 0 touchdowns, 4 picks, Sam Darnold's threading the needle to Jefferson and Addison in a comeback victory where the Vikings were down 19-6 late in the third quarter, and has the Minnesota Vikings, propelled the Minnesota Vikings to a 10-2 overall record. Check out this stat. This was posted by Will Regetz, and this stat shows you just how amazing Sam Darnold has been this year for the Vikings. Darnold is now tied with 2009 Brett Favre and 2000 Dante Culpepper for the most games, 10, with a 100-plus passer rating by a Vikings quarterback in a single season. And there's still 5 games left of the year. Sam Darnold is statistically having one of the best overall quarterbacking seasons for the Minnesota Vikings. Not in the last 2 years, but in franchise history. And I can't help but think that Sam Darnold is not getting the amount of love that Sam Darnold deserves because his name is Sam Darnold. He has a reputation for failing at the Jets, failing at the Panthers, being a backup at the 49ers. Now it's the Vikings, 1-year contract. He's not that superstar, sexy guy that people want to talk about and praise. He's got 23 touchdowns, 10 picks this year. He's got 10 games this season for the Minnesota Vikings with a passer rating over 100 plus. Kirk Cousins never did that in his 6 years on the Vikings. And he is outplaying Kirk Cousins. Yeah, people want a Kirk Cousins this, Kirk Cousins that. Oh, what about Kirk Cousins? Can we just talk about how incredible Sam Darnold has been for the Vikings this year? Because he has the Vikings at 10-2. And O'Connell deserves credit. The Vikings organization deserves credit. But Sam Darnold also deserves credit. Did he have a bad game versus the Jaguars? Yes. 3 picks, 0 touchdowns, mostly in the red zone. Does he still need to prove it the rest of the season and in the playoffs? Yes. But as of right now, the 10-2 Minnesota Vikings, think about this. The worst possible record they can have right now is 10-7. Their over-under was 6.5 entering this season. Sam the Great, Sam the Man, has been outplaying everybody's expectations this year. Has the Minnesota Vikings 10-2. Is outplaying Kirk Cousins. And I don't think anyone wants to necessarily, I'm not elevating him to a top 5 quarterback in the league. That's not what I'm doing here. But I am calling Sam Darnold's play for the Minnesota Vikings this season great. He's not Mahomes. He's not Josh Allen. He's certainly better than Kirk Cousins this year. He's definitely not bottom 5. He's not top 5. But Sam Darnold, this season, for the Minnesota Vikings, game-sealing drive versus San Fran, game-sealing drive versus Green Bay, game-sealing drive versus New York, all when the game was on the line. Okay? Had the Minnesota Vikings up versus Detroit until they hit a last-second field goal. Put Indianapolis away in the second half. Had a good game versus Tennessee. Fantastic game against Chicago. Game-winning drive there, game-sealing drive. And a comeback game-winning drive down 19-6 late second half when there's no momentum, no rhythm, no feel. Nothing's going the Vikings' direction. They pull it out, 23-22 versus the Arizona Cardinals. Now, if Kirk Cousins out there getting all his guaranteed money, Falcons are 6-6 in one of the worst divisions of football. And the Buccaneers are right on their heels. They play the Panthers right now. They could be tied for first place in that division. And you look at Sam Darnold, and of course the questions are, will the Vikings retain him? Will they keep him? And it's like, I keep on going back and forth. Sam Darnold could sign a 2-year contract with the Vikings and stay in Minnesota. Stay with the team that made him a successful QB1 in the NFL. But if you're Sam Darnold and you're Sam Darnold's agent, you only have a few, maybe one moment to capitalize on a big contract. Okay. And capitalize on his rookie contract. He's like the 3rd overall pick. That's a big contract. But following that, you only have one available option. This is Sam Darnold for one big contract, and that contract is now. And when that happens, you need to take the splash. He's not returning to the Minnesota Vikings next year because he knows it. He has one bad year, and that is forfeiting like $60, $70 million. Vikings could bring him back for like $15 million a year, $20 million. But sign somewhere else, you're talking like a 3 or 4 year deal, $30 million, $40 million a year. You're not forfeiting that amount of money. It's not like he's a Mahomes where it's like, okay, I'm going to be great next year too, and we're going to win the Super Bowl again, so I'll just sign that next year. This is a one-time deal for Sam Darnold, a guy who's on his 4th team in 7 years in the NFL, has the opportunity to splash, and now he can. So he'll sign somewhere else this offseason. You can bank that and receive the guaranteed money that he deserves after leading the Minnesota Vikings to a comeback thrilling win over the Cardinals. And it's outplaying Kirk Cousins. The only issue is his name is Sam Darnold. And he already has a reputation of, well, he's Sam Darnold. He's wild, he's erratic, he's crazy. You can't trust him. He has the Vikings 10-2, right on the heels of the Detroit Lions, whose most people are calling the Super Bowl favorites. Odds makers are calling the Detroit Lions Super Bowl favorites right now. They needed a last-second field goal to defeat the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not calling the Vikings Super Bowl favorites or Super Bowl. I'm just saying facts. These are just the facts right now. The Vikings are on the heels of the Lions. The Lions needed a field goal to beat the Vikings late. And Sam Darnold delivers again in a win versus the Arizona Cardinals, 23-22, in a game where he was getting obliterated because the offensive line couldn't protect him. Vikings 10-2. And Sam Darnold, following the game, says, and this gets interesting, there's no place I'd rather play. Just so grateful to be a Viking. Came from the Purple Persuasion Twitter. That's intriguing. There's no place I'd rather play. Just so grateful to be a Viking. Does he take one of those hometown discounts because he's not a hometown kid, which makes no sense, but people call it a hometown discount, to stay with a team that made him successful? Things are getting spicy. I don't think he does. How can he do that when this is his one chance to really blow his forever life savings out of the water? But bigger things. Darnold 10-2, Vikings 10-2, and outplaying Kirk Cousins.